Smith. Some of you know me out there from the gun shop at Williamsburg. I worked there for 21 years. Some of you know me from the website that I have. Some of you have met me at various events. Basically, I have about 45 years or more in black powder gun building. So I've done a little bit of this over and over again. And what I want to do now is share some of the aspects of it that might be tricky for some people, but there are simple ways to do difficult things, and I want to show some of those. The one thing we're going to do first is put a Patchbox into this nice Mossberg 500, make it look a little better than stock. What do you think? Let's try it. Nah, not really. All right, what I've got is a Beck rifle I've been working on currently. We'll get this piece of crap out of here. And I've got the Patchbox in this already installed. Been working on some of the aspects of the mechanism right now. We've got the lid put in, lid springs on, and I want to show how we do the release mechanism on this. Pretty easy to do, and this will be done in a series of steps and videos so that you can kind of pause, catch up, do it yourself step by step as we go along. All right, let's get started with the rest of this. All right, what we're going to make now is Patchbox lid spring to help the lid open up when you push the button. And we're going to start off with a piece of old hacksaw blade. I've scratched a mark here at about 2.5, 2.25 inches is all you're going to need. And the first thing to do is get a hole in here. It's kind of difficult to drill a hole through this since it is hardened and tempered. So we're going to use a punch plate. Basically it's just a plate with holes fitted to flat-nosed punches. And we'll just lay this over one of the holes there. Set the punch on it. Drive it home. And we've produced a small hole in there. Flatten it out a little bit. Now we've got a back of the spring. What I'm going to do next is go to the grinding wheel and go ahead and shape this down. I'll grind the teeth off, give it a slight taper towards the tip, and then at the vise we'll turn it around this way, place it in the vise just above that hole, give it a few bends back and forth, and that'll break it off to the length that I need. Then this hole can be countersunk, and the spring will be shaped cold by simply bending it to the shape I want it to be, and then it'll be inletted partially underneath the finial of the Patchbox, and we'll get to that in another section of this video. Right now, over to the grinding wheel. As I start grinding on this, it's going to be pretty noisy, so I'm not going to do a lot of talking, but just watching you'll be able to see what's going on pretty easily. First, take the teeth off. Start working a taper into it. Do that on both sides. end of it a little bit. And you want to leave as much meat as you can for the length of it, and that'll retain some of the strength of the spring, because this really isn't very thick stuff. A lot of the old ones were forged, making them thicker at the back, thinner at the front, but this is just a quick, easy way to do it. Works great, and doesn't cost much since these blades are worn out all the time here in the shop. Trying to make sure that the hole stays centered. There, you take off the burrs. And now we're ready to cut it off to length, and I'll grind the back end a little bit too to shape it up. So I'll be right back. Alright, went over the vise, held it in there between the jaws and simply bent it back and forth to break it off. Now I'll give it a little bit of a clean up and a little shaping. Invert. And now we're ready to bend it to shape. Alright, now we're ready to bend to shape. Now I've made a pair of pliers here back when I was in the blacksmith shop, and they're just rounded. You can pick these up in hobby shops. Even Michael's has some a little bit smaller for jewelry work. But all we're going to do now is just bend this to shape, trying not to flex it too much or you'll actually break it. And really don't want to do that. Alright, first thing is I'm going to put a slight bend in the toe of this. Bend it, pressing against it. Really get it. Nice little bend in it that way, and this is the part that'll be pushing up against the door. So that way I've got this smoother section as opposed to the rougher edges that'll be rubbing against the lid. Next thing is I'm going to put a little bit of an up bend in it, because right now it'll be level with the door, and of course you don't want that. So we'll go to the other side here and start giving it just a nice gentle bend, kind of working my way up a little bit at a time here. And then we'll give it a little bit more of a recurve. That's pretty close. Just a little bit more. Now the good thing is that once you've got this in place, you can sort of overbend it by pulling up on it like this. And then when the door goes down, it'll sort of self-adjust to the maximum power it'll give you. And generally that works really good. Alright, so now, next thing is I'm going to enlarge this hole a little bit for the screw I'm going to use and countersink it so that the head will go down nice and flush. Alright, drilled the hole out just a little bit, slight countersink, and I'm using a little tiny screw here, number 4. And I think these are unplated, and you can probably get these from like Track of the Wolf, but it doesn't matter. Even if it's a plated one from the hardware store, this is not going to be seen. Most people never take a Patchbox off the gun. I just happen to have a bunch of these for doing inlay work. So the next thing now is to go ahead and inlet this underneath the finial and get it adjusted. And if you want to, you can actually go back and sand all this out of it, all the paint that's on here. I wouldn't heat it to remove that, because then you're going to lose your temper. Just sand it or put it on a flap wheel on the drill press, and you can take that off. It'll polish it. If you want it blued again, use some cold bluing. Easiest way to recolor it.